folks. It feels heavy. I don't know what it is, but it's a good fish. Right here at the boat launch. Oh, it's a giant. It is a giant bass. Holy crap. Beautiful largemouth. Oh man. Come on over here. What a fish. Beautiful bass. Look at that. Oh man. Nice one. Swim bait. What a fish. That is a giant. I don't know what he weighs, but he's peeing. We're going to put him back. But that was worth the price of admission right there. Nice fish.
Hey everyone, I'm Den Haring. Welcome back to my channel, Fish Den 365. It's good to have you all back. Today we're going to talk about something that limits us when it comes to fishing. You know, when I think of what limits myself in the art of fishing, two things come to mind: my budget and my time. And of the two, my time is much more of a limiting factor. So today I'd like to talk about how to handle limited time with fishing and what to do. So the first way to discuss this, I think, is to give you an example of how my mind works, how my brain works when I begin to plan a fishing trip. And I'm wondering how many of you are similar with this. If you have a similar experience, comment to me and let me know, because I'm really curious if I'm way out there in my way of thinking, or if this is something that is common that happens to a lot of fishermen. So the way I think about things, let's say that let's say that it's a Monday or a Tuesday, and I decide that I'm going to be able to go fishing on Saturday, and I might have 4 to 8 hours of time available to go fishing. So the first thing that I begin to do is start planning what I want to do. So I have to decide where I'm going to go. So I decide on the lake or the river or the stream or whatever the place is. As soon as I know that, the next thoughts are, well, what rods and reels do I need to prepare? And what kind of patterns might there be going on? And what lures should I have at the ready? And so I always have more than one rod that I'm taking with me. And the reason why I do that is because unfortunately I'm not limited with my budget in such a way that I can't have several rods. And it's just easier if I have several rods already rigged up with different baits. I can put one down, pick up the other. I don't have to take time to change the baits. So the first thing I might do is think about, well, what kind of places or areas will I be fishing? So let's say there's heavy weeds or lily pads. Well, I'm going to want a frog and maybe a toad. Probably going to want a jig, and I'm probably going to want a pitching and flipping Texas rig bait. And then I might think about, well, if that bite's not on, maybe I'll have to fish deep water. So then I'm thinking, okay, a deep crankbait, or maybe I'm going to need a football head jig, or maybe a drop shot. And you can keep going on and on with this. And the next thing you know, you have 8 to 12 different rods in your mind about what you're going to need for that period of time. And so now it's Monday or Tuesday, and you're fishing Saturday, and if you don't have those rods rigged up and already ready to go, or if they are rigged up and you need to cut some line off so that you make sure that the line is still strong and your knots are still good, well, you've got some work to do before you get out there and go fishing. And I'm a preparation guy. I think preparation is very important for fishing success. I've fished some tournaments over the years, and that forces you to prepare, because if you don't, you're going to lose. You're going to have opportunities to win, and you're not going to win because you weren't prepared. So being prepared works when it comes to trying to win tournaments, and it just helps overall in fishing success. You're much less likely to lose fish because of something careless, like a nick in the line, or a bad knot, or some terminal tackle that's no longer any good, this kind of thing. So now, my time is limited during the week to get prepared. So, I have a wife and I have some kids and I have a job, and so there's all these things that require my time. So any moment I can find time, I start preparing. I start getting one rod, and I usually do it in priority order, whatever I think is going to work the best. And if I'm lucky, I get everything ready, and then you got to think of the food requirements. You got to have some water. You got to make sure your batteries are charged. You got to have the depth finders ready to go. All this, the whole kit and caboodle. So, and if you're fortunate enough, you get it all ready, and you can go out there and enjoy your day. But many times, I don't have 4 or 8 hours available to fish. I just don't. Weeks will go by before I have that much time. And I have one daughter in college, and there's a lot of going back and forth there. And I have a son who lives with us part time. He's working full time, and then I have a house to maintain, a yard to mow and keep track of, and keep up. And then I'm married, and so there's the duties that I have there, and then there's the 50-hour a week or more job. So. Oftentimes, and then you got friends and relatives that you want to visit and see, and so for me at this stage in my life, sometimes it's difficult to get those amount of hours available to fish, but I don't want to give it up, right? I'm not going to just give up fishing, even if I only have a few hours to go every week. And so that's why I'm doing this video, because I've been learning over the last 3 years to manage my time better and better, to be able to do these kind of things. The footage you saw at the beginning of this video of me catching that bass, that was on Sunday evening, the day before Memorial Day. I had a couple of hours that I was able to get out and do some fishing right after dinner. It was a rainy day, but it was off and on, and when it did rain, it was just drizzle. And there was supposed to be a period that evening where there wasn't going to be any rain, just some drizzle later on. So I thought, what the heck, I'll go. And the way I've saved time is I didn't have to get anything ready for a boat. Because I wasn't taking a boat. I was fishing from shore, and I decided I was going to go to Beltsville. Don't ask me why. I just decided I wanted to go there. And I thought, well, I'm going to fish right at the boat launch. So I fished right off of Pine Run Launch. That's where I caught that bass. It was a Sunday evening, day before Memorial Day. Usually you would expect to see horrendous crowds all over the place, but because the weather sucked, hardly anybody was there. There was only a few boats out on the lake, and there were a couple guys fishing from shore, but they weren't bothering me at all. I had the area that I wanted to myself. I had an hour and a half to fish. I fished for about an hour because it actually did start raining, and so I stopped. But in that hour, I caught that bass. It was a beautiful largemouth. I caught a rock bass, and I started to learn to do more and more of those small trips where I might only have a few hours. And the way I plan for that is, everything shrinks, right? So I might take a boat if I have everything ready to go, but most times I'll fish from the bank when I don't have that much time. And so, instead of taking several rods, I might take 1, 2, or 3, depending on how much time I'm fishing and how confident I am in what the patterns are. I'll give you an example. Right now, if I was to go fish on Alani somewhere in Peters Cove, it's all chock full of lily pads. So there isn't much use in many different techniques. You're going to have to throw a frog, and you might have to use a Texas rig bait, and that's about all you're going to be able to throw in there, or maybe a punch rig. So, this is fishing from shore. So, when I do that, I have a frog ready to go, and I just go and fish for a few hours and see what I can do. One of the things it does do, it keeps you in tune with what's happening on the lakes, and it keeps you in tune with what's happening in nature. If I didn't do those things, and if I didn't fish those 1 or 2 hour events the way I do, then when I do get a time to go out for a full day, I think it would take longer for me to figure out what's going on. It really does help to get out there, even if you don't catch anything. At least you've learned maybe what not to throw or what didn't work that particular day. And so that's just as important too, learning how to eliminate things, eliminate water, or eliminate presentations, for example. So, this is how I've approached it, and I'm getting better at it. I'm making better decisions. One of the things I would also suggest is always trust your first thought, your first instinct with this kind of thing. Like if you're thinking about a place to go fishing and you're thinking, well, what should I throw? Well, the first thing I thought about when I went to Beltsville was I should have a swim jig. Some type of swim jig just to throw out there, let it go to the bottom, and just reel it in, and I can cover a ton of water from the bank that way. And that's what I caught that bass on. It's the first thing I threw. It's the thing I had the most confidence in. And the other thing I thought to do was I should take a topwater, because if I thought if I stay there long enough, some stripers or something might pull into that area, and the alewives are spawning then. And I thought, well, maybe I can get a striper from the bank. That would be a lot of fun. So I had a topwater with me, which I caught a rock bass on. And I might have done better if I stayed later that night, but the rain just made it miserable, and I didn't have rain gear or anything like that, so I just decided to go home. But I came home with a smile on my face, because the fish was worthwhile that I did catch. It jumped 3 times, and it was just a nice evening on the lake, and it kind of satisfied that need to get out for a little bit. And earlier this year, I've done several trips like that where I only had an hour or 2 or maybe 3 maximum, and I decided I'd go to Onalani. This was before the pads are really up and thick. I threw the swim jig out there. I'll play some of the footage while I'm talking about it. Caught some fish on the swim jig, caught some fish on the Senko, caught a fish or 2 on a horny toad, just on separate trips where I had just a few hours to do some of the fishing. So don't let limited time stop you from getting out on the water. You have to force yourself to go sometimes, because I have this mindset of I'd really rather be out in that boat, and if I can't do that, well, is it really worth it? And I find that when I force myself to go in that limited time period, I usually really enjoy it. And so then I always remind myself afterwards that, hey, it was worthwhile going for that hour and a half or that 2 hours here or there, rather than I'd much rather go for 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 or more hours. When I was younger, I would do marathons. I'd be out there sometimes 20 hours, that kind of thing, or I'd be out there several days in a row. And if I live long enough, one day I might get back to that kind of thing, and I look forward to that if I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that again. But for now, I have to be able to manage my time wisely. I have to be able to get out there when I can in the limited times that I have. And if I can do that, then the days when I do have longer periods of time to fish, like I said, it makes it a little bit easier. You're a little bit more in touch with what's going on, and you're more likely to have success sooner on those days when you do have more time in the water. Well, I'm real curious to know if these kinds of things are challenges for some of my viewers, as they are for me. So let me know in the comments. And I hope this video was at least inspiring in a way to get you to think about getting out there and fishing, even if your time is limited. And so if it was, hit that thumbs up, hit the like button. Let me know that you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If and when you do, if you hit that bell, that'll give you a notification about when my next video is coming out. As always, we're going to be putting another video. My next video probably will be an unboxing. I bought some stuff from Bass Pro, so I thought I'd share that. So we'll do an unboxing video in the very near future. And as always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.